What's up guys, Echo Fox Theo here, back with another Injustice 2 tutorial. And in this tutorial, I want to go over kind of an advanced metagame concept that applies specifically to Injustice 2. And it's what I like to call the why not concept. So to basically do my best to put the why not concept into words, it basically means that when your life bar is really, really low, it basically makes really, really risky options much more reasonable to take, as opposed to if you had a full life bar and getting punished for a full combo. Now, if that sounds kind of confusing, I'm going to go over some examples and I'm going to make it clear for you guys, and I'm just going to make a case on why it's so important to understand this concept. Now, the first matchup where the why not concept applies is the Dr. Fate versus Catwoman matchup. And to basically explain this matchup in the most layman way possible, Catwoman is the one that's obviously trying to get in on Dr. Fate. You know, she does this using her walk speed, using meter and rolls, using jump twos, using her low whip to knock Dr. Fate down and kind of get a safe jump in on him. It's basically very, very fundamental ways that she has to get in on this matchup. And on the other end of the spectrum, Dr. Fate is responsible for trying to keep Catwoman out, you know, with finger lasers, orbs, forward 2, etc., etc. Now, notice how there was one thing I didn't clarify in Catwoman's game plan. It's her cat dash. Now, Catwoman's cat dash is useful in this matchup because, you know, it leads to a full combo, it leads to plenty of damage, but it's very, very unsafe. If Catwoman blocks, if Dr. Fate blocks a cat dash, he can get a really, really good punish like such. So that's one of Fate's most simplistic non-optimal combos, and it did about like 35 or 36% as an estimate. So reasonably, because Catwomans don't want to lose, you know, 35 or more percent, they're very, very conservative on using the cat dash if they have a full life bar. Now, this is the most important part of this concept. If they have a full life bar or plenty of life that they don't want to spare. Now, let me flip this around and put the why not concept into perspective. So, let's just pretend that Dr. Fate's health is at like 50 or 60%, so he has a considerable life lead against Catwoman. And let's say Catwoman's life bar is at 2%, so we're looking at 60% for Dr. Fate and 2% for Catwoman. What makes this so important is that when Catwoman does a cat dash against Fate now, she's not subject to losing 35 or 36% against Dr. Fate. She's only going to technically lose 2% in this situation, because the risk reward game flips based on the life bar system. You know, the Catwoman can say, you know what, like, I'm about to lose my first life bar, why not just go for the riskiest option, because I have nothing to lose at this point. And if my read works, you know, I get to take Fate into a full combo, into some Okazemi, and potentially I can make a comeback against him. Instead of, you know, I have a full life bar, I don't want to do a cat dash because I'll lose like 35 to 40%. This is why this theory is so important. Because one thing that I see is a lot of people, like when they're fighting against Catwoman and they get Catwoman at a very, very low life situation, they don't look out for the cat dash when the Catwoman is about to die. They just go about their regular game, they try to, you know, close out the match, and then Catwoman does a random cat dash and the momentum shifts in her favor. This is one thing that Samij is really, really, really well known for. Samij is really, really, really well known for, you know, those random cat dashes, which he always makes great reads on. And a time which Samij likes to do these random cat dashes is when he's in a situation where he's about to die, so then he thinks to himself, you know, why not just do a cat dash, and because I have nothing to lose at this point. So if you're a character who's kind of zoning out Catwoman, or, you know, trying to, you know, close out a match against Catwoman, where the random cat dash is usually in the back of your mind when Catwoman has full health, because you know that she knows that it's risky for her to do, the random cat dash has to be on the forefront of your mind when she's about to die, because it basically gives her all the reason to go for that risk at that point, because like I said, now she's subject to losing 2% as opposed to like 30, or 40%. Another why not factor that Catwoman has. So Catwoman has this wake up. Which one is it? Rising Claw. The Rising Claw, like the Cat Dash, leads to a full combo, can lead to some Okazemi, does pretty good damage. It's a very, I'd say, medium reward, high risk move. So that being said, a lot of Catwomans usually don't do it if they have a life lead or if they have a lot of life that they don't want to spare. But if their life is almost down, that would give them all the reason to attempt that. Again, a lot of people I see this happen to when they fight Catwoman. You know, they're getting some set play on Catwoman, they're getting some Okazemi on Catwoman, so they're like, alright, she's about to die, let me go ahead and finish this off. Whoops! Forgot that she had the Rising Claw. And you know why they forgot? Because they didn't take into account that if a Catwoman is about to lose their first life bar, it gives them all the reason to make that riskiest read. And now what I want to do is I want to go over two other characters that have this why not factor. You know, there's a lot of characters in this game that have it, but for me to explain all the characters' aspects, it would be like a 3-hour-long video, so I'm only going to go over two more important examples against some pretty common characters. So let's go to the select screen. Now, the second character that I want to talk about who has this, you know, very, very strong, again, why not factor is Supergirl. And the move that I want to talk about that really, really applies to this metagame is her Wake Up EX Teleport. Now, similarly to Catwoman's special move that I showed you guys, her Wake Up EX Teleport. It's extremely unsafe. It's not something you see Supergirls do commonly on Wake Up unless it's some random Wi-Fi Supergirl. But let's emulate the same situation here. Imagine Dr. Fate has like 30 to 40% and imagine Supergirl has 2%. Now, because I can't do EX wake-ups as something that AI can do, I'm going to show this example with her regular teleport. But just for the sake of this video, imagine that she's doing the EX teleport. So, one thing that I see a lot of people get hit with, and Scar does this on me, you know, all the time because he understands that risk-reward, is they'll do a lot of set play on Supergirl. They're about to kill Supergirl, but then whoops, they totally forgot about the teleport as a wake up. So a lot of times what, you know, Scar is really good at is if he's on the ropes on the first life bar and he's about to die, that gives him all the reason to do an EX teleport on wake up. Because if, you know, he lands it, that's like 30 to 40%, you know, unscaled, does plenty of damage, shifts the momentum right back into Scar's favor, and then basically lets him do some kind of comeback or totally take the life lead in his favor now. Now, that's not something that he or, you know, any other Supergirl would want to do if she has a life lead, because she has no reason to take that kind of risk when she has a life lead. When she has a life lead, it's her responsibility to keep that keep that lead in the most methodical, safe way possible. But then when she's on the ropes, that's when she has to make those maniac reads. And then the way that she does that with either her Wake Up DP, you guys know, like that move that she does where she goes into the air. But if she wants a higher reward, that's when she would want to do like Wake Up Teleport instead. Now I kind of stuffed it there, but a lot of times, like if you try to jump in on her, like it would catch you. So that's another example of a character that has that why not factor. So basically what I'm trying to tell you guys is when you guys fight a high level Supergirl and you're about to, you know, kill them or take the first life bar, always keep that option on the back of your minds. Always think to yourself, you know, I'm about to kill this character. It gives her all the reason to try to wake up teleport. So let me just settle down. Let me try to make a read and block that teleport. And if you block that teleport, you just secured yourself the match. Now, one last character that I want to go over that has this really, really good why not factor in both when he has the life lead and when he doesn't have the life lead is Atrocitus. So, as you guys know, Atrocitus has two kind of playstyles. You know, the first playstyle that he has is the high risk, high reward playstyle where he'll do like his forward 2/2 strings into puddle. So it's like he kind of enforces this constant guessing game. Or the second playstyle is, the playstyle that Coach Steve made famous, where it's to play as safe as possible, do some vomit pressure, do some vomit staggers, and then just try to chip your opponent away. Now, the situation that I want to talk about is the more riskier Atrocitus approach, which, is effective for a lot of players. So, again, just like with the two other characters, we're going to put his life bar at like 2%. So Atrocitus is about to die, and he's... when Atrocitus is about to die, but it's his turn in a situation, it gives him all the reason to go for a crazy read like 2-2, low puddle, or 2-2-3 low puddle. Because Atrocitus players are thinking like, doing low puddle in a lot of situations is risky because it's minus a billion. If they punish it, I'm eating a full combo. But if I'm about to lose my first life bar and I only have 2% to spare, why not go for a low puddle in this situation? Why not go for that risk? So you, as the player, don't keep that in the back of your mind. You don't think about, if the Atrocitus player hasn't been doing the vomit pressure, throughout all the match, you don't think in the back of your mind that it's possible that he can do it when he's about to die. This happens a lot when I fight, a really good Atrocitus player, Anbu Get Wrecked. A lot of times he won't go for, the puddle mix until he's about to die, so he thinks to himself, why not just go for the puddle mix here, because I have nothing to lose at this point. I have only 2% life to spare. So that's just another thing that you guys have to keep in the back of your minds when this, situation is emulated in tournament. Because believe me, once you, make those reads, or once you have that, conscious approach in that situation, it's going to give you so much mileage, and it's just going to make it so much harder for you as a player to... I don't like using this word, but it makes it so much harder for you to choke in those situations because you're aware of so many other, possibilities. Now, I told you guys that there was 2 ways he has a why not approach, so here's the second way. Now, imagine that you, the Dr. Fate, has about, 6 or 7% health. And imagine the Atrocitus has 600 health as he has right now. So Atrocitus has this part of his mix-up. How do you do it? There we go. So Atrocitus has this overhead. The last part of a string. You know how the last part is an overhead and it does a couple of percent? A lot of Atrocitus players, they don't go for that mix-up a lot because it's kind of unsafe. But a lot of times it hits a lot of people because they'd rather block that than the low puddle. So basically that overhead does about 3%, right? So a lot of people are saying, okay, let me just, take that overhead instead of taking the low. But let's just say that you have 3% health and the Atrocitus has 600 health. The Atrocitus player is going to think to himself, because this guy's about to die, and because he usually doesn't block the overhead because there's no point in blocking it because you'd rather just take the overhead than the puddle, right? But since he's about to die, if I land that overhead, it's going to kill him. So why not just go for the overhead in that situation because he's not going to expect it? So you know this, and you're thinking to yourself, wow, I have 3% health left. It is very likely in this situation that he's going to go for that overhead because he thinks that I'm not going to block it, so he's going to do it to try and kill me. And that's when, my friends, let me just record Dr. Fate here. And that's when you're expecting it, and that's when you block it, and that's when you punish it. It's happened to me a lot against a lot of Atrocitus players that I fought in tournament, where it's they're about to take my first life bar, so they try to do that, they try to sneak in that last overhead because they think I'm not going to block it, so they just want to do that for the easy kill. But then, I know that they know, so I know that they're going to try and do it, so that's when, I basically block it and punish it. Because, again, you have to keep in mind that when you have 3% health left on your first life bar, you have nothing to lose in that situation. You basically, have nothing to lose for making that hard read in that situation. And just to tie it all together, just like the Catwomans have nothing to lose by doing that cat dash, just like the Supergirls have nothing to lose by doing that wake-up teleport, you, in that situation, have nothing to lose for making that hard read and blocking that overhead. So that's why, in that situation, it makes sense for you to, block high to expect that overhead. instead of always blocking low because you don't want to eat the low puddle. So yeah, that was my video about just explaining this why not factor. I hope it helps a lot of you guys in just being more aware of your opponent's options and your options in those situations. If you guys like what you saw, a subscribe would be greatly appreciated, and a like would be greatly appreciated. Until the next video, thank you guys so much for watching. Much love, and Theo out.